everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of the Best Day Ever podcast. This is a podcast about all things crafty and a glimpse into my crafting journey. But it is also where we celebrate with you why every day spent crafting makes for the best day ever. My name is Trish, and I can be found on Instagram and Ravelry as Tie-Dye Diva. Show notes for this episode can be found in a thread that I will create in the Ravelry group, and as well as on my blog space, which is tiedyedivacrafts.blogspot.com, and I will link to both of those locations in the description box below. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are a new viewer, I'd like to extend an extra special welcome to you and to thank you for joining me today as I share my love of crafting and a few of the things I've been working on in the past few weeks. And it literally has been a few weeks, quite a few weeks since I last recorded. I won't go into a lot of detail about what's been going on, but it's been a really tough few weeks, I should say. So about 4 weeks ago, I ended up catching a cold, which turned into the worst bout of bronchitis I have ever experienced. It was just horrible, and you can probably tell from my voice that I'm still trying to get over it. I still have a slight cough, a lot better than it was before. I'm not up coughing constantly through the night and losing sleep, which was pretty horrible. And my voice is probably about 90% back. For a good 10 days, I could not talk at all. It was so bizarre to open your mouth and feel like you're going to speak, and there is just nothing is coming out. So, the usual remedies, lots of hot tea and lemon and honey and booze mixed in with the lemon and the honey and the tea, and essential oils, and sniffing them and burning them, and just you name it, I tried it. Hot showers. But, with things like that, they just have to run their course until they're done. So I'm definitely feeling much better. In addition to that, we've had some really serious illness in the family, which continues to be an ongoing situation. I was actually at the hospital all day today, pretty much for the most part, and most of the night last night into the early morning this morning. I think I got home at about 2 a.m., got a few hours of sleep, and returned back to the hospital this morning, and we got home probably at about 5 p.m. today. So yeah, just dealing with family issues and family illness, and a lot of things are quite uncertain now, which has caused me quite a bit of anxiety and worry. And but through it all, I have crafted, I have knitted, haven't done any sewing, a little bit of embroidery, but definitely a lot of knitting. As a matter of fact, this morning before my husband and son and I went to the hospital, I actually wound up, I should say, a skein of yarn and started a pair of socks, because when you have lots of time where you're just sitting and worrying, it's just good to have that simple project, that simple knitting or crochet project that you can work on to help pass the time away. So that's what I did this morning. I won't show you those socks because I only got about that much into it. But next episode for sure, hopefully I will have maybe a completed pair of socks from that yarn. So enough of me jabbering on about life, but what I do want to tell you of what today's day is. Today is December the 9th, 2018, and it is a Sunday. It's a Sunday evening here in the state of Maryland, where I live with my family. And fall going into winter is in full effect. It is freezing outside. The days are shorter, and it's like pitch black outside now. So as you can already tell, I am in a different setting in my home. This is my dining room area, and my dining room chandelier is just above me. So that's where I'm getting this glow from. So I hope that's not too distracting, but I do think it's giving me some really good lighting. And I like the option for recording in here because I have a lot of space. So my dining room table is here. I have my computer here in front of me, so I can be on Ravelry to look up patterns and information about projects. So we'll try this out for a little while. But here we are yet in another location in my home. I am having a beverage. My beverage of choice tonight I should say, is a glass of sweet red wine. I feel like I could use something to just calm me down and soothe me after a really stressful day at the hospital. And I've also got some H2O to help keep me hydrated. So without further delay, let's get right into this podcast episode. Before we get into some of the things I've been working on, I do want to let you know who the winner was for the, let me just make sure, I believe it is for the October, yes. The winner of the October giveaway, bear with me because I'm actually looking on my computer and pulling, and I realize I'm sitting here and I did not bring the prize with me, but I'm going to insert a picture of the prize right here. And the winner of the October giveaway was Kendall Crochet. And let me just read to you what Kendall Crochet said about her best day ever moment. She says, "My best day ever was when I finished my first official crochet along. It was the summer of textured stitches with Mikey and the crochet crowd. It was an 8-week crochet along, and we were given an extension date of September 30th, 2018 to finish and post. I did it and was quite pleased with the results. Love your podcast and really excited about the prizes. Take care." Kendall, thank you so much for sharing your best day ever moment with us, and congratulations on being our October prize winner. Please send me a message on Ravelry and I will get your prize out to you as soon as possible. For the month of November, I have decided to combine the month of November and December as into one. Since I've been missing in action, I should say, for the past few weeks, I think that's the easiest way to go forward. And I will also insert a picture and hopefully some text right here at the bottom of what the November/December prize will be. To be eligible for a prize, just head over to Ravelry and join the Best Day Ever Crafting podcast group and share with us something you're excited about in your crafting journey. And we will draw a prize probably early January, I should say. It feels so weird to say January. The time is really, really moving. So let's get into some of the things I have been working on in the past few weeks. Let's see, do we want to get into whips? No, let's get into finished objects. And the first finished object I'd like to share with you is the sweater that I'm wearing. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen this sweater. This is the Ingalls sweater by the designer Caitlin Hunter. And this is the sweater that I chose for my Rhinebeck sweater. So anyway, let me stand up so you can see a few of the details of my Ingalls sweater. As you can see, it is a yoke cardigan with some eyelets in 2 places. And they actually flank this beautiful, yet simple, it almost reminds me of wheat motif. And it has very large sleeves that actually have like a balloon effect because you come back in with a much smaller needle to knit the cuff, and you also do some rapid decreasing in this area of the sweater to get that balloon blousing look, which I absolutely love. I really love sleeves that have detail, like peplum sleeves and lace on sleeves. It's just, it's a thing. What can I say? So yeah, this is my Rhinebeck sweater for 2018. What else can I say about this sweater? The yarn that I use is was Woolmize DK, and the color is Zarte Snops. I can never pronounce that. And the brown that you see here is actually Plucky Cozy, and that was held with a little bit of Rowan Kid Silk Haze in a very similar color. The color of the Plucky Cozy is Hello Gorgeous, and I don't have a colorway on this the Rowan Kid Silk Haze because it was just a little bit that I had left over, and I'm pretty sure I threw the ball band away. Absolutely wonderful, enjoyable knit. Pattern extremely well written. I did knit 2 sizes down because this sweater is made to fit with quite a bit of positive ease. Actually, the pattern says it's 17.75 inches of positive ease, and that's a lot. So by knitting down 2 sizes, I really decreased quite a bit of that positive ease, and I still have quite a bit of room in the sweater. But so that's just a little tip if you're interested in knitting a sweater and you don't want it to be as loosely fit. You know, think about going down a couple of sizes. Think about going to changing your needle size to get the fit that you want. And the great thing about top-down sweaters is that you have a lot of freedom to change the amount of stitches that you increase, and just a lot of flexibility in fitting a sweater that is knit from the top down. I also knit this sweater to a semi-crop length. I want to see if I can insert a picture here of me wearing the sweater so it stops. And you can also tell that this sweater is really it's really wide. It was meant to be really wide in the midsection and ribbed at the bottom, but that kind of creates like a blousing look for your body to just like fit in. And since I do carry a lot of weight in my midsection, that's not something I wanted to accentuate. So to help with that and to help give the sweater more of a A-line fit, I did not go down on needle size for my bottom ribbing. I used the same needle that I used for the body of the sweater, and that also worked out really, really well. So that's just a few modifications and tips about my Ingle sweater. I absolutely love this sweater, and I can see myself getting a lot of wear out of it in the weeks to come. And I don't, yes. Here's a little bit of the leftover yarn that I used. And I don't think I have the Plucky Cozy with me. Yes, I do. I'm on a roll. And so this is the Plucky Cozy that I used. I actually thought about making a hat with these two to match the sweater. I thought that would be fun. So yes, one finished object down to share with you. I have 2 more finished objects I'd like to share with you, and they are both hats. One you've already seen before. I think of the last time I recorded, I talked about this slouchy beanie that I had knit. I did not use a pattern because I was attempting to design a pattern for this hat, and because life has been so crazy, I have yet to get that written up, but it is still a goal of mine to get this hat written up. It's basically a very simple oversized slouch beanie that utilizes the beauty of contrasting colors of hand-dyed yarn. So the body of the sweater including the brim, is knit in a DK weight. And then for the body of the hat, you're going to hold a contrasting color kid silk, mohair, kid silk lace or light fingering with the DK weight. And by doing that, you end up with a very interesting, it almost looks like it's pixelated in some places, and in other places it almost looks like it's almost like camouflage. But I just really love how you can get a completely different fabric as well as texture just by adding in a different color yarn and a different textured yarn. So for this, I use Pullover Sweater, which is actually a discontinued base, but any DK weight will work, as well as Pullover Sophisticate, which is her 50% merino, 30% mohair, and 20% silk. I think I'm going to knit up another one of these because I want to see how, just want to see if I can get the same effect with another type of mohair yarn. So let me just try this on so that you can see what it looks like. I have a lot of hair and I have a fairly large head. So this works for me. So this would work for someone who, like I said, has a larger head or has a lot of hair, or both. Or someone who doesn't want to disturb their hairstyle too much. Because there's quite a bit of room in here, this would work really, really well for them. The color that I chose is Danny Ocean, and I hope this is showing up okay. It's dark blues and dark grays and lighter grays. And the fingering, the light fingering that I chose to hold with it is this really light gray that you see in here. So I think that's just amazing how with just by adding another strand of yarn held with your DK, it totally changes the color and almost gives it, like I said, that pixelated effect. I named this hat Lake Fog because holding these two together and getting that color just kind of reminds me of the way fog looks when it's over a body of water. You know, you've got that dark water and then you've got that fog that's rising up off of the water, which I think is an absolute beautiful sight to behold. And to see how the fog just like sits right over the lake, just absolutely beautiful. And then as the sun comes up, the fog just dissipates. Just beautiful. So when and if life calms down, I will do some more experimenting by holding others light fingering and DK weights together and some mohair silk lace held together with DK to see what other color effects I can come up with. Okay, so moving on to another finished object. I finished the Kobuck hat. Kobuck is another pattern from Caitlin Hunter. And Kobuck is knit in with a DK weight, and a kid silk held with it. And I hope that there we go. Look at the beautiful halo on there. And I'm hoping you can see the details of the baubles that are incorporated into the hat. And also there is some interesting textured stitching going on here. So I hope you can see that. This hat I actually knit for my niece, You can knit this hat in, I believe it's 3 different sizes. So the yarn that I used is Legacy Fiber Arts Cloud, which is the mohair and silk. And you can see that there, I've got quite a bit of this left over, so this would work in another project quite nicely. And the DK weight is also by Legacy Fiber Arts, and that's that color there. The color is We Think You're Peachy Keen, and it's got lots of pinks and oranges and whites and speckles of purple in it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I knit this with a size US 4 3.5 millimeter for the ribbing, and a size 6 4.0 millimeter for the body of the head. There is something really strange about row 10 of the lace pattern in this hat. I'm going to try to make sure that I link to some notes from another raveler who helped me to get through that little hiccup in the pattern. I do believe it's row 10. The written instructions, as well as the chart for the textured section, just did not meld together. Just something was definitely off. But thanks to some persistent knitters who left very good show notes, I was able to make it through that row. But everything else was pretty simple, not difficult at all. And I absolutely love this hat. So this is for my niece. So what I was attempting to share with you is that the pattern is written for 3 sizes: a child, adult small medium, and adult large extra large. And even though I intended this to be my hat, I accidentally cast on for the small medium. I think I could probably get this on my head, but it's not going to give me the slouch that I prefer for my my head. So I'm going to give this to her. And I told her I was making her a hat. I think I told her that about 2 weeks ago. And I finished the hat about 2 weeks ago. And so a couple of days ago, she said, "Aunt Trish, I thought you were finished with my hat. I need my hat. It's really getting cold here in the DMV." And I said, "Yeah, sweetie, it's finished, but I can't give it to you until I record a podcast because I have to show it to my viewers." So she just shook her head at me because, of course, they think I'm psycho anyway. The crazy psycho knitter. And they want me to knit all the things for them. So today she relates to another one of our friends while we're at the hospital. "Auntie knit me a hat, and I gotta wait for it until she finishes showing it on her podcast." Have you ever heard of something as ridiculous as that? She's so sassy. Love her to death, but definitely Miss Sassy Pants. So now that I have shown the hat to the podcast viewers, I can give it to her and stop her from yapping, hopefully. So, I thought that was the only finished object, but I do have another finished object, which is another hat. I totally forgot about that. So this hat, you probably already know what it is. This is the Sockhead hat by Kelly Mcclure. It is a very simple tube with a very long ribbed brim. You have the option to wear the hat this way and have it super slouchy, or you can fold up the brim. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to wear it, but I love this. If I didn't think I would spontaneously combust, I'd probably try to wear this through the podcast. I love it when I watch other podcasters and they podcast with their hand knits and their hat on. throughout the podcast, but I'm almost certain that I would have to stop the camera and look for a fan. So we'll take that off for now. But getting back to my projects, this was knit with Plucky Feet, and the color was small batch number 27. Guess I should fix my hair. I'm looking like Doc on Back to the Future. Okay, so this was knit with Plucky Feet. Again, 27 small batch was the color, and I used a US 3.25 millimeter for the brim. And I really love the way this turned out. I love the way these colors mixed, and I've got some really interesting yet consistent pooling with that white horizontal stripe. And then I'm always a sucker for some fun decreases there. So yeah, I'm really happy to have another sockhead hat. This might be for me, or it might be a gift. I don't know. I knit myself a sockhead hat, and my niece, not the one I just talked about, but her sister loved it so much she took it from me, and I've always wanted another one. But being that I just want to knit all the things, there are so many other hats I want to knit as well, and a girl only needs but so many hats. So this might end up being a gift, or for me, I haven't decided yet, but I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm pretty certain that's it for the finished objects. Let's move on into works in progress. The first work in progress, and I should say all of the works in progress I'm going to show you today happen to be sweaters. Now, I know I said, I'm pretty certain I said on a previous episode that I have a hard time with having more than one sweater on the needles. I get overwhelmed. So how I ended up with 3 sweaters on the needles, it's a long story, but let's just go with it. And I think my fears are what stopped me from having more than one sweater on the needles at once. It's really not that bad. So the first sweater I'm going to show you is a Joji Locatelli design, and the name of the sweater is Puntilla. I'm going to insert a picture of Puntilla here, and I'm also going to check and see if I have a picture. I might have a picture of Puntilla in my pattern notes. Yes, I do. So here's a picture of what Puntilla looks like. It's not a full shot, but what attracted me to this sweater is the detail on the sleeve and on the cuff. Do you see that? So you finish off the sweater. It is knit from the top down, from the top down, but you finish off the cuff and the bottom of the sweater with a lace motif in a contrasting color. True to Joji Locatelli's style and amazing pattern writing design, it is very easy to follow. It is not a top-down raglan. It has a different construction, but very easy to follow. I would say that this sweater is a boxy style sweater. This too is quite oversized, and I've gotten through the short row shaping on the back neck, and this is how far I've gotten on this sweater. I think I've probably got about 5 more inches to do on the bottom, on the body of the sweater. And then I will move on into the ribbing, as well as putting on the contrast color for the bottom, which I have not chosen yet. And then I will have to pick up for the sleeves as well and knit those down. The yarn that I'm using for this sweater, this is picking the color up really nice, is Plucky Primo Fingering. Plucky Primo Fingering is a 75% merino, 20% cashmere, 5% nylon blend of utterly amazing, squishy, soft goodness. I've worked with Primo fingering quite a bit, but mostly in shawls. So this will be my very first Primo fingering sweater. And at this point in the sweater, you're just knitting miles and miles of stockinette. So I just feel that you have to have an amazing yarn to knit this amount of stockinette stitch. And Primo fingering is that yarn. Another thing I want to share with you is that the old put up for Primo fingering, I believe, was 375 yards, but going forward, starting November 19, 2018, all Primo fingering will be 115 grams, 440 yards per skein, which is awesome. So I still have the older skeins. I haven't purchased any of the skeins with the new yardage. I'm pretty sure I will as time goes on. But yeah, the color, it does not have a color. It is called a one-hit wonder color. So there was something off about the color. It didn't quite fit into a name. It's close to another plucky color, maybe full-bodied red. And so those colorways she ends up marking down and offering them at a very substantial discount, between $10 and $15, which is amazing for plucky yarn. And I believe I picked this up at one of her pop-up shops in no, it wasn't a pop-up shop. It was an event that she had on Bainbridge Island. It was so much fun. Was it glamping? Was it glamping with plucky? I didn't go for the whole event, but I did go to shop. And boy, did I shop. So there was this huge bin of just spilling over with plucky in all different bases for $10. So that's how I picked up 5 skeins of this beautiful yarn. And yeah, so that's just another tip for you. If you sign up for Plucky's emails or follow her on Instagram and turn on your post notifications, you will be notified when she has other one-hit wonder colors at a reduced discount. And this is hanging out in my Melody's Needle Notes project bag, which also happens to be the prize that Kendall is going to be receiving. Not this particular color, but another beautiful color that has an African motif on it. I love this bag because you can see it's big enough for my sweaters, and I still have lots of room left in it. So thanks again. And I'm pretty sure that Melody has more bags in her shop, so please check her out. Beautifully squishy, lined, nicely interfaced bag. So that is the Puntilla by Joji Locatelli. Another work in progress I want to share with you, my other sweater, is called the Church Mouse Classics Modern Wrapper. So the Church Mouse Classics Modern Wrapper is, interestingly enough, a one-size-fits-all cardigan. It is knit in pieces. Interestingly enough, I have never knit a sweater that had pieces and that I had to seam. All of the sweaters that I have knit, I'm almost certain they have all been top-down raglan or top-down yoke sweaters. So this was quite an adventure for me. I'm trying to get a really good picture without showing too much of the pattern so you can see there. So you can see how it's oversized. It's got a drop shoulder, and then here's where you pick up and knit for the sleeve. So I am very happy to say that the entire body of the sweater is done. I have attached the shoulders. So the only thing I have to do now is sew the seam for the sides, and then pick up and knit for my my sleeves. So this is the right side of the sweater, and can you see the garter stitch band there, which is really nice? And then you just come down into a really simple 2-row garter stitch band at the bottom, and that is repeated on the left side. The garter stitch band also runs around the entire back neck of the sweater. I had to do some, I don't know what kind of seaming I was doing to stitch the back band to the back of the sweater. I'm not crazy about the way that looks, but I don't think I could pick this out. I couldn't pick out this seam. So we're going to go with it, and we're going to call it an exposed seam. How about that? The yarn that I used for this sweater is Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is a fingering weight. And Brooklyn Tweed Loft needs no introduction. It is an absolutely beautiful yarn. And it is a 100% Tarhi and Columbia wool. I held that together with Drops Kid Silk by Garn Studio, which is a lace weight. And so let me show you what they both look like together. I'm all tangled up in needles here, and I'm going to tell you why that's the case in a minute. So this is the Drops Kid Silk lace, that beautiful color of purple. And here is the this is the Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And the color of this is Old World. I'm holding this because I want you to be able to see the speckles in this yarn. It's a navy blue with a very faint hint of purple. And I've got some specks of red and bright blue. Very few specks of red and bright blue. But in the sweater, every once in a while, they'll pop up. And it's just a wonderful surprise when you see them. It's just it's a wonderful color, and it's already a wonderful texture when you combine the two together. As you can see, I'm a bit obsessed with combining yarns. I just love that effect that you can get when you mix your bases. It's just wonderful. And I'm going to see, I think I just saw a speck of that red somewhere that's just so pretty. I'm going to put this close up so that you can see the fabric that you get by combining the mohair and silk with the Brooklyn Tweed. It's just so soft. This is an oversized sweater, I should say, and it's a pretty large sweater, but it's not heavy. It's not heavy at all, and I'm hoping that this will actually work as like a light jacket or a light topper, a light coat maybe. But I love this. I love this. So I'm hoping things calm down with family stuff, that I will be able to concentrate enough to do some more seaming on my sides, and then get these sleeves finished in time for the next podcast. And this is hanging out in my Friends Supply, their new tote. And I chose the black because I was slow and that was all that was left. But I had to have it. I am a huge fan of the Friends Supply field bag, and I knew that I had to have the tote when the tote came out. I wish I could have been fast enough to get the brown color. Is it toffee or tan? I'm not sure, but this combines the best of both worlds, the best of the of the fill bag as well as of the porter bin. It's like the two came together and had a baby. So you've got some pockets on both outside sections, pockets on the inside. It's awesome. And you wouldn't expect anything less from Fringe Supply Company. So I'm all tangled up with needles here, and I'm going to tell you why. This pattern calls for you to knit certain sections and then keep them on hold until you're ready to go back to them and work them again. And what that results in are tons and tons of needles that you need to knit this project. After a while, it became a bit comical because I had to keep jumping up, going in my craft room looking for needles to make sure I had enough to knit this sweater. So fortunately I did. I have two interchangeable sets, my liquor set as well as my diet craft set. And I keep saying I'm going to show you my diet craft set, so hopefully I'll get to do that very soon. And look, here's another one that I had in here that I was using for a time. So that's at least 5 needles that I had to use. Pretty funny. So anyway, if you want to knit this sweater, just make sure you have enough needles to knit it. And I highly recommend it. Very well written. Took me out of my comfort zone, which is good. As a knitter, I always like to expand my horizons and try different things. And this definitely allowed me to do that. So hopefully I will have that done very soon. The last work in progress I want to share with you today, like I said, is another sweater. And if I can digress a little bit, I just have to say that this week is an absolute testament to the spirit behind this podcast. Because like I said, not even this week, the past 6 weeks, just one thing after another. And like I said, I've just crafted my way through them all, mostly in the form of knitting. And it's been wonderful. It's after a tough day, either at the hospital all day or a rough day at work, just to get away for an hour on my lunch break and just decompress by knitting something, or getting into a new crafting book that I've bought, or watching a crafting podcast. It's the balance. It's the balance that I know I need in my life. And again, I'm just so grateful to have crafting, because otherwise I'd probably just be a nervous wreck. So the final finished object I want to show you is this beauty right here. This happens to be a test knit for Jane Richmond Designs. And I feel comfortable showing this to you because she has posted about it on Instagram. But basically is an oversized pullover sweater knit in a super bulky weight. And it is just the epitome of coziness and just warmth and goodness. I don't know when I'm going to wear this, because I do tend to be on the warm side most times, but I'm going to work it out because I absolutely love this sweater. It is a basic crew neck top down raglan shaped cardigan. It's just about done. I just have to do my other sleeve, and I think I've got to do some more length on this sleeve. Yeah. So that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Super easy, super quick. The yarn that I used is Lion brand Woolies Thick and Quick. And the composition of this yarn is, like I said, it's a super bulky, 92 yards, 84 meters. And I think I purchased 8 of these to start out with. And yeah, you see what I mean? Just touching the sweater, I'm getting a little warm. I'm debating, do I want water or wine? I think I want wine. There we go. I just feel like I'm a mess this podcast. So if you're still here watching, thank you for bearing with me. So yes, Lion brand Woolies Thick and Quick, which is a super bulky yarn. This is hanging out in my project bag that I made, which was pattern designed by Stitch Mischief, who is the host of the Mischief Maker podcast on YouTube. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this. This could be like if I had a dog. I don't have a dog or a cat. I want a dog desperately. My emotions tell me I want a dog desperately. And my husband, who's the voice of reason, kindly says no to me every time. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to break him down on that anytime soon. But if I had a dog, this is the type of thing I'd want to just pull over my head and walk the dog in. Or maybe, since I don't have a dog, this is the sweater I will use to take outside and photograph yarn and finished objects. I'm putting this close to the camera because I want you to be able to see the sparkle in this yarn. Can you see it? I'm going to probably insert, there we go. I'm going to try to insert a picture here so that you can see the sparkle. And I even balled up a little bit that was left in the skein, hoping, yeah, there we go. So yes, I am breaking my death before acrylic rule to knit this sweater. But again, when Jane Richmond did a call for test knitters on Instagram, I just could not resist. So hopefully the next time I record, I will be able to show you another finished object in a sweater. Actually, 2 sweaters, the purple modern wrapper, as well as the oversized super bulky pullover. So let's get into a little bit of spinning talk. I am pretty certain I have never talked about spinning yarn on this podcast. I am a spinner. I really do enjoy spinning, but knitting has been taking up quite a bit of my time here lately. But I've been quite inspired by some of my favorite spinners on Instagram. And so I decided to get back on my spinning wheel, and it's been so wonderful. So here is a bobbin that I completed half of a braid of, and this was dyed by Nest Fiber Company. And let me see if I can pull up the color for you. So yes, by Nest Fiber Company. And the color is Prost, P-R-O-S-T. And the wool is Finn, from the Finn sheep, F-I-N-N. And it has been an absolutely wonderful and delightful spin so far. I use an Ashford kiwi to spin with, and I love to spin, and I'm fairly proficient at it, but I'm still learning all of the language of spinning. So that's about all I can tell you. These are pretty fine singles, and the other bobbin with the most of the rest of the braid is right over there on my wheel. So when I apply those together, this will be a 2-ply. I'm hoping that I get at least a DK weight or maybe a sport weight. We'll see. I just tend to, when I spin, just let the yarn become what it wants to be. I hardly ever try to intentionally spin a weight. Just let it be what it wants to be. This is how much fiber I have left to spin in the braid, and there you can see the colors a lot better. And I'll let that sit for a few days and get it plied up, and hopefully I will have a new skein of hand spun to share with you on the next episode. So what else? Let's get into a few acquisitions. Actually, there have been quite a few acquisitions coming into Tie-Dye Diva's craft room in the last few weeks. Yeah. I have no words. It's just what we do, right? So the first thing I want to share with you that I am really excited about, as I mentioned, Jade, who is Stitch Mischief on Instagram, Ravelry, and the host of the Mischief Maker podcast. I've talked about her often. She is a yarn dyer, a podcaster, like I mentioned, a bag designer, let's see, a quilter, very, very talented, and a yarn dyer. So I want you to feast your eyes on these beauties. And I'm trying to go different places. This is showing up a lot pinker than it really is. It is this bright, but it's more of an orangey pink. You can kind of see it a little bit, like right there where my nail is pointing. So this base here is a 100% fine superwash merino. She had mentioned on her podcast that the micron count of this superwash merino makes it very close to the way cashmere would feel, and that sold me. But I did not place an order. But she happened to have a sale a few weeks back, and that I could not resist. So I decided to treat myself to these beauties. They will definitely be going together in a project. Can you see? There we go. So that's why I got these together, because I figured I could combine them for a shawl. And then I chose this beautiful mohair silk lace to go with it. So all three of these will combine for some project. And I have an extra skein, thank you Jade, of the merino if I want to make a bigger project. So I have no idea what they're going to be. I'm thinking I would like to dabble in some design, maybe, to try to come up with an inspired design for this beautiful yarn. It's just so pretty. I could just stare at it all day. This color is called Coastal. And this bright pinky orange is Reef, which is so cool because the water and the ocean and the coast, it's one of my favorite places to be. So this was a no-brainer when I saw it in her shop. Now Amy, I believe her name is Amy. Oh my goodness, please forgive me if I am mispronouncing her name, but I do know she is the host of the Stranded Dye Works podcast. Let me confirm that. Yes, Stranded Dye Works podcast, and I'm almost certain her name is Amy. If not, I'm going to put it right down here in the show notes. She was also having a special in her shop where she was offering free shipping to worldwide. And I believe she's in the UK, so to be able to get that savings was amazing. And from her shop, I chose these two skeins of mohair silk lace. And I don't see a color on here. Yes, it's called Favorite Ice Cream. I didn't even know that when I picked it out. But this is kind of cool because my favorite ice cream happens to be mint chocolate chip. One of my favorites. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm very happy to add it to my stash. So Amy, thank you very much for having that special with the free shipping. That wine is really good. It's a sweet red. And normally I don't go for sweeter wines. I prefer dry and semi-dry. But we went to the eastern shore of Maryland a couple of weeks ago. And we were just there for a day, and we did a little bit of sightseeing and visited with friends. And the next day, we went to a winery. And I cannot think, let me see if I can slide over here very gracefully so I can show you this bottle and the name of the winery. So it's called Joe's Cool Red, and I'm pretty certain that Joe is the owner of the vineyard. And the name of the winery is Layton's Chance. So if you're ever in the Washington, Maryland, Virginia area, especially the Maryland side of should we call it Eastern Maryland? Let's just say the Eastern Shore. If you're ever near there, love this winery. They do an amazing tasting and presentation, and this is our second time being there. So this is again one of the wines that we picked up while we were there. But it's, like I said, it's sweet, but it's not that sticky sweet. It's quite delightful. Very, very wonderful. So one more thing I want to share with you before I wrap up is a bag that I was able to purchase. I have been wanting one of Sandy by the Lakeside's project bags for the longest, and I either forget to set my alarm or I'm too slow because she sells out just quickly. So this is the bag that I chose. It is a large project bag. You can see that beautiful print there. The bottom is a canvas, and there she has her beautiful tag there that is zigzag stitched on. Very nice touch, Sandy. I love that. And we have a beautiful lining that coordinates with the exterior of the bag. And I was thanking Sandy through a personal message on Instagram, and she informed me that Jen Hewitt, who is the designer of the print Friends Supply fill bags, was also the designer of this fabric for this bag. And so I think that's why I was so drawn to this. You know, Sandy makes these beautiful patchwork project bags where she patches pieces of fabric together, similar to what you would do if you were quilting. And I thought I wanted one of those, but when I saw this, I was so drawn to it. And that was probably why maybe I'd seen this fabric somewhere, or just the aesthetic of it just really appealed to me. And I love the detail of the little tassel, little suede tassel on the edge of the bag, as well as a handle, little webbed handle here. So beautiful, beautiful bag. And she was also kind enough to gift me a pen, one of her beautiful pens, which I also meant to add to my shopping cart. So Sandy, thank you for being so kind. Thank you for being so talented, and thank you for, how can I put this, for just being one of the brighter spots in the crafting community. I absolutely love her podcast delivery. Um, she's so graceful and just so peaceful and relaxing to watch her podcast. So again, thank you so much, Sandy. I think that is all I have to share with you today. Um, I'm glad I was able to get through that. Like I said, it has been quite a few, quite a bit of stress going on in the past few weeks, but I'm just so pleased that I was able to just sit down and de-stress and talk to you about all the things that have made me so happy in my crafting world. So I just want to encourage everyone that wherever you are, whatever you're doing for the next few weeks, you stay safe, and you hopefully will have some time to decompress and spend lots and lots of time with your loved ones, and definitely have lots and lots of time to craft and to fuel your creativity. That is certainly what my plan is. Like I said, I don't know what the future is going to hold with a lot of the illnesses we have in our family, and actually my heart is really heavy right now with a lot of the things that are going on with illness in the family, but I have a very strong support group, I'm very close to my family, which is making this even more difficult, but we are so good at coming together and supporting one another. Without continuing to ramble on, I want to thank everyone for patiently watching this episode today. Again, I do felt quite rusty, but I did really enjoy spending this time with you, sharing with you the things that I have been working on, and I hope to be able to be with you again in the very near future to share with you some of the other things that I've worked on, things that I've finished, and maybe even talk about some plans for the future. So if I don't see you before the year is out, again, stay safe, be happy, and thanks for watching. And never ever forget that every second spent crafting always makes for the best day ever. Bye-bye.